Alright guys, here we are on a new project. We're going to be doing a paver install, plus going to be installing some new grass. We're pretty much gutting the whole backyard and doing clean pavers with some new sod. Just expanding the area, more space. So let me take you for a walk in this backyard and show you exactly what we're doing. Okay, so here we are. Here is the new job. What we're going to be doing is ripping out all this concrete. This whole retaining wall back there is going. This whole patio cover is getting taken out as well. We're actually putting a new patio cover, but it's going to be over there. This whole area is going to be sod. All new marathon grass coming in right here. We're going to be taking, putting a 3-foot paver patio against the wall or the house right there. This whole section will be all paver patio. Right here, this is all going to be a paver patio. That's going. All these plants are going. All these rose bushes are going. Tree out. Pretty much almost everything back here is being gutted. And we're going to be tapping into this existing drain. Right around here is where we're going to be putting a new patio cover. It's going to be a lattice top aluminum wood patio cover right in this area. And then yeah, this is all going as well, this concrete. So you can tell it's gonna be a big transformation. It's gonna look really good when it's all said and done. Yeah, we're gonna get started, start taking everything out piece by piece.
So this looks like a real nice project here. The whole backyard restoration. And the reason they're doing this is because that raised deck is a real haven for animals and wildlife. They're going to run into some wildlife underneath there once they start removing this, and you'll get to see it. Possum nest. And they needed a little more sod back here for the dogs, because they have a couple dogs, so they wanted more space. With that raised deck there, it's kind of it's just really a trip hazard, and you knock down a lot of your usable space. So it looks like they forgot to bring a ladder, so Omar went up on top to start disassembling that lattice on top. So that patio cover is pretty structurally sound, it looks like. Pretty solid. Bring that to another location potentially and reassemble it. This is going to be a 4-part series. This particular part, it's all about demo and setup and getting ready to install the pavers. Right here where that old patio cover was, there's going to be a paver walkway along the house adjoining the side yard to the new patio.
Alright guys, check this out. This is why you don't do decks. See these holes right here? Those are for critters. And look what we have over here. We got a possum. This is why you do not build decks. You go with hardscape, pavers, concrete, all the good stuff. He's been chilling up with us the whole time we've been taking this deck out. And he does not like the camera. He's camera shy.
So what they ended up doing with that possum, they were able to push him into the bucket, and then they just relocated him. So looks like there's a little bit of reinforcement in there. I could see a couple pieces of bars sticking out of that concrete right there. And it looks like it ties right into the brick ribbon, which is a good way to do it. That way your brick doesn't come loose. Yep, lots of rebar in there. That ground looks pretty much like clay. It looks like an expansive type soil, not real good. That's why that rebar is pretty important, especially in this kind of soil condition, because you get, as the soil, this type of soil gets wet and then dry, it expands and contracts. So you need something in there that kind of stiffens it up. And that's the reinforcement.
All right, what's going on, you guys? So you can see this whole backyard is demoed out. Jimmy, go ahead, flip them around, let them see the whole backyard. It's completely demoed out. Now what we're doing is the fine tuning. This is where the magic happens. This is where you get the perfect levels for setting pavers, concrete, whatever it may be, whatever you're gonna be laying down in your backyard. This is where it's probably one of the most crucial parts to your whole layout of the backyard. And that's why we have a laser level. So what me and Juan are gonna be doing right now is we're gonna be setting our levels. Jimmy's on the camera. And yeah, let's get to it. So first things first, what we wanna do is turn our laser on. Laser's on over here. Receiver is on. Okay, and like I always say, get down with it, Jimmy. Like I always say, you want to go off the weep screed of the foundation. This is your money maker. This is where you get your levels established. And we also like to call this the benchmark. So what I'm going to do is, well actually, there's existing concrete here. So we're going to go over here. This is the existing concrete, so we pretty much need to match this right here. And look at that. I'm already almost set to the right height. So we're gonna be matching this right here. I'm sure there's a little bit of slope going this way that I'm gonna get like pretty much the rough benchmark for this area. So I just need to go up a little bit. Jimmy, you're in the way of the laser. You have to turn to the side. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go up a little bit. Right when you get that dead beat line, that lets you know your level. Okay, now let's just see where that concrete stands on the weep screed of this backyard. So I'm gonna hold it against this weep screen and just see if it's lower or higher. Which I'm sure it's gonna be lower. Over here, Jimmy. Heck? Oh. Okay, we're about, let's right about there. So I'm gonna mark that. Okay, it's pretty much right below the weep screed right there. So it's not bad, but I do like to have more wiggle room for the weep screed. So I'm probably gonna bring that down a little bit. If anything, we'll have a slight rise that way. Yeah, that's what we'll have to most likely do, just because I don't like being that close to the bottom of the weep screed. It doesn't leave much wiggle room in case you end up being a little bit above after you set your base and sand and pavers. It's always nice to have that little bit of wiggle room of a ½ inch between the bottom of the weep screed and your pavers. So yeah, we'll just end up having a rise. We're putting a drain in the middle anyways, so eventually everything is going to slope that way anyways. So we're going to just go a ½ inch down, which will be right about there. We'll say that is our benchmark right there. Can you see that? Get closer to me. That's a ½ inch difference. That's the mark I marked. I'm gonna go a ½ inch down right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's gonna work just fine with that idea of the drainage situation. You know, a lot of times the weep screeds aren't even quite perfectly level. They're usually pretty close, but I have ran into some that had quite a bit of slope in them. Basically what they're doing on the removal is they're scooping it up, dumping it into the wheelbarrow and running them out. because to run the tractor through that narrow space back and forth actually takes a lot longer to do.
Alright, so here we are back on the job after all the demolition. We took a lot of this dirt out. It's a little messier now. That's mainly because we need to start grading, getting everything to perfection grade. And over here, so there's a little problem with the fence. The fencing was built too high. So I talked to the homeowner, and now we're gonna be adding a planer wall 1 foot off the vinyl fence. You can see our string lines. This is pretty much the height of the pavers. This is about ½ inch below weep screed. Right over there. You can see it's a lot lower than the bottom of the fencing. And for future reference, we don't want the planter bed draining into this backyard onto our pavers. So we're gonna be building a planter wall along the whole vinyl fence, and then doing a little radius on the tree right there. Give it some character. But for the most part, we're gonna try to keep it close to the wall as possible. Just a 1 foot planter wall. What me and Jimmy right over there are gonna be doing today is just grading out this whole paver area, getting the planter wall area prepped out as well. I'll set a string line up for that, get that set up, and then yeah, just go from there. That's kind of the main goal for today.
The type of planer block they're going to be using for that little retainer of it's actually retaining the other yard and drainage situations and stuff, but they're going to be using the block's called the LGR6 jumbo block. Is what they'll be stacking there to retain that, and then the pavers will come up against it. In some cases, what you can do, if you have the distance from the house to the back fence, you can just slope it towards the house and set your drains closer to the house so you can have a longer distance, so it's not a hard drastic slope. So you pick up the rear end along the fence, slope it towards the house, have your drains off center closer to the house. That way you don't have a drastic slope. You get 2% both directions because of the span where the drain locates. So, but it looks like they had about 6 inches below that vinyl. So, I mean, that's quite a bit of slope coming back to the house. I mean, I don't know, it might have been able to be done. I'm not sure. But this way, everything's going to be flatter. So, it's really about what you want. It's kind of what it's based on is what looks best to you. Yeah, this is serious clay dirt right here. You can see how it's coming out in chunks. It's great for if you want to build an adobe house.
Okay guys, we're here the next day after we just did a bunch of demolition yesterday. There was a lot more dirt than expected to get out of here. Like I always say in previous videos, it's always best to take us more dirt than not, because you can always bring in cheap base fill, and it's a lot easier than having to dig out more dirt and more dump fees. And you know, while you have the skid steer, if you own one, great, but if you don't, like I don't, I have to rent them. You got to utilize those while you have them. So we had to take out a lot of dirt in this area. Pretty much took up the whole day because we had some rain recently here in California, and the dirt just got way heavier, way muddier, clay dirt, so it's very difficult to dig out. But right now what we're going to be doing is I'm going to get this drain set right now. As you can see, we just installed that drain. That drain is going to be the drain for this whole paver patio area. Everything's going to slope right to that. Sweet and simple. So I'm going to set my benchmark, which I know is right over here. I don't actually have it set up yet, so that box might be in the way. Now I'm going to have to set my benchmark. Up or down? My knee though? Oh, my knee was in the way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my drain. Come over right there, Jimmy, look at a better angle. So I'm marking up my benchmark height. All right, that's my benchmark height. What I need to do to get slope for this whole area is we have about 10 feet from the sides. No, it's actually, yeah, it's about, no, it's 8 feet from the sides coming in from this way. And we got about, what was it? About 10 to 12 feet from these sides. Probably the corners being the furthest points are more like 14 feet. So I'm gonna go down about 2.5 to 3 inches, and that should roughly give me about 1% to 1.5% slope for my paver patio. The thing is, with slope, what you can account for if you're not good at doing the math, which is rise over run divided by 100, and you'll get your percentage of slope. What I like to do, which is a simple method, is for every 8 feet, go down 1 inch. That's 1% slope. So that's a helpful tip for you guys. Whenever you're grading something out, you guys can keep that formula in mind to be able to get these percentages. So I'm gonna go down 3 inches. Probably 2.5. 2.5 will be enough. All right, there it is. That's 2.5. And then the next thing I actually have to account for is the depth of this drain, which it'll go, I think, like 1.5 inches. Technically, I need to cut down 1.5 inches up because that is actually going to be pushed down 1.5 inches. Go. What do we got?
It's like 3.
3?
No, 2 3/4.
Oh, okay.
2 3/4. 2.5. 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
So here's the backfilling. We're going to have to probably compact the subgrade, which is the native. Then start adding, the lifts of the base that goes in here to support the pavers. So that string line represents the outside edge of the patio and the outside edge of the walkway along the house. Then everything in between is going to be grass and the LGR6 jumbo blocks along the fence. Here's your irrigation going in. It's going to have some perimeter sprayers. Everything's just going to spray in from the entire perimeter to keep that lawn wet. We're going to be using a Marathon 2 on this. Right now they're establishing the layout for where the post holes will go for the actual patio cover, because it's going to be centered within that paver patio area. The drain itself is centered on the patio, the paver patio, but the actual structure is more centered on where the house is kind of going to be setting, not to block. So one of the posts don't block the slider door, basically. It's kind of visual thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification. That way you'll be notified when the next video goes up, part 2 of this series. Thank you.